Let's learn how to join our solid granny squares, or any square that has a solid edge, a double crochet edge. So this is the piece I've made already. This is as big as they're going to be. We're not going to use a joining color for this example. I'll put that up there. So I have one more round on the yellow to get it the same size as the blue. You see that, right? So I'm going to join my work. I'm going to chain one and do a single crochet into the top of this chain. Single crochet, chain three, 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to work my way around. I'm just going to do this one side and I'm going to join when we reach here. Okay, so I finished my side. I did my 2 double crochets into this half of the corner. So now I am going to chain one and slip stitch to this corner. So I put my hook down into the corner, grab my yarn from underneath, bring it up, and pull it through the loop on my hook to make a slip stitch. Now I'm going to make my double crochet into the corner to start my other side. So 1 double crochet, and then into the next stitch, put your hook and slip stitch, and 1 more double crochet in the corner, and into the next stitch, put it down, bring your yarn back, and slip stitch to join. Into the next stitch we do a double crochet in the yellow, and we put our hook down into the blue, bring up the yarn, and slip stitch to join. Wrap our yarn, make a double crochet into the yellow, and we keep going along doing this all the way. So into the blue, the next blue stitch, bring the yarn back, slip stitch to join. Wrap our yarn, double crochet into the yellow, poke our hook down, grab our yarn, bring our yarn up and through, slip stitch to join. Double crochet into the next stitch. Down through the blue, back up with the yarn, slip stitch to join. Double crochet into the yellow. Put your hook back down into the blue, bring it back, slip stitch to join, double crochet into the yellow. It looks a bit more complicated than it is. Once you get the hang of it, it's quite easy, but when you start out you're kind of like, what do I do? And it feels like you have to hold everything and it gets a bit complicated, but totally worth it because it's not too much slower than doing your last rounds of crochet to make your square the same size, and you get a nice join out of it. So it's easier than going back with a needle and thread. Plus you don't have ends to weave in from your needle and thread, guessing how much yarn you need and all that crazy stuff. So slip stitch to join, double crochet into the yellow, slip stitch to join, double crochet into the yellow, slip stitch to join. And you'll get to this point and you'll be like, oh no, it's wrong because it's not the same size. But it is. You can see at your join, these two line up. So we slip stitched straight into the corner and we made our double crochet into the corner, our first one, and that stitch we slip stitched to the first stitch. Okay, so you join into the corner the first time, and then your first double crochet you join into the first stitch, and then just work your way along. When you get to here, just remember you still have 2 more stitches to do. So we've joined, and now we're going to do into our corner space. We need to do 2 stitches into our corner space. So 1 double crochet into our corner, slip stitch to join, 1 more double crochet into our corner, slip stitch to join. I'm going to join into the corner like so. Chain 1 to get my space, because the slip stitch and the chain 1 counts kind of as the chain 2 to make the corner. Now turn your work, and you're going to finish this the rest of your square. So 2 double crochets into the corner, and your double crochets going around the rest of your square. So you can see, well, it's a bit bent now because I'm still crocheting it, but you can see you have a nice little join here. So how they like you to do it, the proper way for joining in this fashion, is you make stripes, like you make a strip. So you'll have this blue and then the yellow, and then I don't have solid ones, but maybe you'd put, you know, you'd go down and down and down so that you make a strip. Let me zoom out. Other way. Yeah. So we'll make a strip, and then you'll sew, once you have this strip, then you can do your ones to get from this side. You'll start on one of these sides. So I'll finish this up, this square, and then I'll show you how to join another square. So pretend you have a big stripe or big strip already done, and we'll start joining this spot here. To join the green one, we're going to start by connecting it to the blue, so it's kitty corner. So these we connected together. Now this green we're going to connect to the blue, and when we come on this side we'll connect this square to the yellow. So there'll be like a little cross, so there won't be like a hole. So put your hook down into the corner of the blue, grab your yarn, slip stitch to join, do your double crochet. Yes, those are my dogs, I'm sorry. Double crochet back into this corner, 1 double crochet. Now we're going to slip stitch to this first stitch here, so not into the corner. We're going to scoot right over to this guy. Can you see? Our corner space is here, but we're going to go into this first stitch. So a slip stitch. Now we're going to make 1 more double crochet into the corner, and another slip stitch into the next stitch of the yellow, and a double crochet into the green, first stitch of the green. So now it's back to usual. We're doing double crochets into the new square and slip stitching to the one we've already joined. So double crochet and a slip stitch. Now how you want to also kind of keep in mind is to check which stitch you're going to go into. If you keep your hook over top of your work, it looks like this is your next stitch, but it's not. It's hiding underneath where your hook is. So pull your hook back and remember to go into the next stitch. If your stitch count's messed up, like one square has more stitches than the other square, you can easily skip one of those. Like I'll just do it now. Like that one skipped. You can't even tell. No one's gonna see that you missed a stitch, or you added a stitch. So don't totally worry about it. It's not the end of the world. If you want to be perfect, then yes, make sure you have the same number of stitches at the edge of both your squares when you start, which I think we do. So slip stitching to the yellow, double crocheting into the green, and making sure we're going into the next stitch. But I made a really big blanket, and that was an easy way to like adjust, because I was making squares for like a month, so there was a couple that were weird from the beginning, and that's how I fixed them. I just skipped a stitch in the middle or went into a stitch twice. And it's big, it's like queen size, so no one's going to be looking at it wondering if all of my stitches line up perfectly. That's what I tell myself anyway. So double crochet and then put your hook in from the top, slip stitch to join. Double crochet, slip stitch to join. Double crochet, slip stitch to join. Now you might get here and then be, you start worrying, which I've done a lot, and I've undone all my work and then realized it was right. So yes, when you get to this point and it looks totally weird and you've done it wrong, you haven't done it wrong, it's right. Keep going. Now we're going to do our corner, so we need to do 2 double crochets into the corner, and that's all we need to line these up. So here's a stitch here, line that one up. One more double crochet into our corner for that side. There's our double crochet, and then this one's going to go into the corner. So perfect. Now we're going to chain 1, because the slip stitch counts as a stitch and the chain 1 counts as a stitch, so that's our 2 stitches for the corner. And then we turn our work, and we're going to go back along this side and back along this side and join here, and we'll be done joining. Oops, which way am I going? We'll be done joining this square, and we can move on to this one. So I'm going to crochet around as usual, get to this side and join, and then I will be back with our next square we're joining here. So we're ready to go with the next square, which is nice hot pink. So I have already joined, I've done my 3 rounds, same as the other squares. I've done my 3 rounds, 1, 2, 3. I've chained up and I've made double crochets all along one side, including 2 into the corner. So this side is finished. So how we're going to join it is going this way. So I'm going to join this corner where I'm at into here, work our way along, join this corner into the yellow corner, and work all the way along, and then finish this one side. So that's how we're going to be working it for joining a blanket without using a border color. Alright, so let's get started. Adjust your hook again. So we're going to chain 1 to start, and let me zoom in again. You can see my stitches, I hope. Okay. Get my yarn over there. Okay, so we're going to go down into this corner. So let's find the corner, make sure we have 2 double crochets on each side, which we do. So put it into here. Bring up our pink yarn and slip stitch to join. Okay. Now we make a double crochet into the corner. And we slip stitch to this first stitch here. We don't go into the corner anymore. Now we're into a stitch. You see? Okay. So grab your yarn, bring it back, loop it through. And one more double crochet into the corner space of the pink. And another slip stitch into the next stitch of the blue. And double crochet into the first stitch, which is that funny one you got to look for. Slip stitch into the blue. Double crochet into each stitch of the pink and slip stitch into each stitch of the blue until we reach our corner. Double crochet, slip stitch, double crochet, pull your work back to look at your stitches, slip stitch, double crochet, 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 slip stitch. So you're just making sure you're going into the next stitch of your pink square and the next stitch of your blue square so that they line up. Double crochet into the pink or the square that you're joining, slip stitch into the square you've already joined. Now we're doing our corner, so one double crochet into the corner of the pink, one slip stitch into the stitch of the blue, one more double crochet into the pink, and this is when we're joining. We would be joining into the corner, but we don't want a big hole, so we're going to be joining into the yellow corner, kitty corner, or the one across. Okay, so we've slip stitched over there, so now we're going to double crochet. Do we slip stitch? No. We slip stitched, so now we chain one to make our corner. Now we do a double crochet into the corner, and then this one goes into the first stitch of the green. You can see the corner is here, but we're not going to go into the corner. We're going into the first stitch. And you can see after I join it, you can see that these line up. You see how it lines up? Let me get in there for you. Yeah. So this double crochet matches this double crochet. So if we went right into the corner, there's actually no double crochet in the corner. So that took me quite a few rows of a very big blanket to figure out. But that's the trick. Okay. So now we are going to continue doing our double crochets into our joining square and slip stitches into our square that's already joined. So one more double crochet to finish our corner, and slip stitch into the next stitch of the joined square, double crochet into our first double crochet, slip stitch into the next stitch of the one that's already joined. So you just keep going all the way down, making sure, so you always kind of pull your work back to check your stitches. I think that's the easiest way to know that they'll line up. You don't want to get to your corner or somewhere and then be like, oh, they didn't line up. Hi, sweetie. So we are just going to continue that all the way along. So slip stitch into the square you've already joined. Oh, I have little toddlers at my door. Yes, Ollie. Okay, go have water. Okay. Slip stitch to join, double crochet into the square you're joining, slip stitch into the square you've already joined, and just keep going. I'm going to speed up a bit because I think my kids are not, I think they're tired of being with the nanny. So double crochet, slip stitch to join all the way along. And remember not to panic when you get to your end and it doesn't line up. Oops, lost that one. Okay, like that. Like this. And now we're in our corner, so 1 double crochet into the corner, 1 double crochet into this stitch, 1 more double crochet into the corner to finish this side, and 1 double crochet into the corner of the square that's already joined. And then we chain 1 to finish our corner and turn our work. So now we're just going to finish this one side and it will be finished.